I spent Father's Day alone at a diner, until my daughter walked in with her kids. Chapter 1. The empty seat. The vinyl booth squeaked beneath me as I shifted my weight, the sound barely audible over the clinking of silverware and murmur of Sunday morning conversations at Rosie's Diner. Outside, the June sun beat down on the cracked asphalt of the parking lot. I'd been coming to this same booth, ordering the same black coffee and blueberry pancakes every Father's Day for the past 6 years. If you're enjoying this story about family reconciliation, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next in this emotional journey. Refill, Frank? Sarah, the waitress who'd been working here since before my hair turned gray, held the coffee pot with practiced ease. Thanks, Sarah. I pushed my mug toward her, watching the dark liquid rise. Busy morning? Father's Day, she said with a shrug, as if that explained everything. And it did. Every table was filled with families, fathers beaming as children presented handmade cards, grandfathers bouncing toddlers on arthritic knees. My phone sat silent on the table, screen dark. No messages, no calls. The last time I'd spoken to my daughter, Emma, the autumn leaves had been turning. Words were said that couldn't be unsaid. Pride, mine mostly, had built a wall between us, brick by stubborn brick. The bell above the door jingled, and I glanced up out of habit. A young couple walked in, the man's arm draped around a pregnant woman's shoulders. I turned my attention to the window, watching cars pull into the church parking lot across the street. As I cut into my pancakes, my mind drifted to Emma making me breakfast in bed at age 8, burning the toast, but beaming with pride. The handprint art projects, the world's best dad mugs. Then college came, and Emma met Daniel. I didn't approve. He seemed unreliable. We argued. I pushed. She pulled away. Then came that Thanksgiving, when I'd said those unforgivable words. Can you relate to family disagreements that seem impossible to resolve? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I raised my hand to catch Sarah's attention when the bell above the door jingled again. I didn't look up this time, focused on counting out exact change for the tip. Dad? The voice froze me in place. Slowly, I lifted my head. Emma stood there, her copper hair cut shorter than I remembered, freckles still dancing across her nose just like her mother's had. Behind her stood Daniel, looking oddly nervous, and beside him, 2 small children I'd never seen before. My grandchildren. Chapter 2. Recognition and reunion time seemed to stretch and compress all at once, as I stared at the family standing, just inside the diner's entrance. Emma's eyes, green like her mother's, locked with mine across the room. 6 years of silence hung between us. Emma? My voice cracked on her name. She took hesitant steps forward, the kids trailing behind, while Daniel hung back. She looked different, more mature, with fine lines beginning at the corners of her eyes. But when she bit her lower lip, she was suddenly my little girl again. Hi, Dad. She stopped at my table. Sarah told me I might find you here. Sarah, who'd been watching from behind the counter, gave me a small conspiratorial wink. You look good, I managed, though good was an understatement. This is Daniel, she said, gesturing to the man who now stepped forward. He'd filled out, no longer the skinny kid with untamed ambition. Sir, he said, extending his hand. It's good to see you again. I hesitated only a moment before taking, Go, Daniel. And these, Emma said, her voice softening as she placed her hands on the children's shoulders, are Lily and James. Lily looked about 5, with my late wife's copper hair and freckles. James, younger, maybe 3, had Emma's green eyes, but Daniel's dark curls. This Father's Day reunion is just beginning to unfold. If you're moved by this family's journey, subscribe now to follow their emotional reconnection. Would you mind if we joined you? Emma asked, uncertainty in her voice. Please, I said quickly, sliding over in the booth. As they settled in, the awkwardness was palpable. 6 years of silence doesn't dissolve in an instant. Lily just finished kindergarten, Emma offered. Top of her class in reading. Is that right? I turned to the little girl. What's your favorite book? Charlotte's Web, she answered promptly. It's about a pig and a spider who are best friends. That was your mother's favorite book too, when she was about your age. The conversation stuttered forward. We ordered chocolate chip pancakes for the kids, omelets for the adults. Outside, a summer storm arrived, rain drumming against the windows. Mom has pictures of you, Lily announced suddenly, in her special box. She looks at them sometimes and gets sad. The table fell silent. Emma's cheeks flushed pink. I have pictures too, I admitted, on my mantle and in my wallet. I showed them the faded photograph I'd carried for years. Emma at her high school graduation. What was the most difficult family reconciliation you've experienced? Share your story in the comments. Dad, I didn't mean to stay away so long, Emma said, tears gathering in her eyes. At first I was just so angry, and then the kids came and time just passed. No, I said, shaking my head. It was my fault. The things I said that day. I glanced at Daniel. I was wrong. About everything. Daniel reached across the table and took Emma's hand. We've moved back to Asheville. Got a house over on Maple Street, not far from your place. We thought, Emma continued, that maybe it was time to start over. If you want to. The lump in my throat grew larger. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside Rosie's diner, something broken began to mend. Chapter 3. Rebuilding Bridges. The rain continued to fall, but gentler now. Our empty plates had been cleared, replaced by coffee for the adults and hot chocolate for the children. Lily had a white mustache that she deliberately maintained between sips, making James giggle. So you're living on Maple Street now? I asked, still processing that my daughter and her family were just minutes from my home. Emma nodded. We moved in last month. The commute to Daniel's firm is shorter, and the elementary school is excellent. Maple Elementary, I confirmed. It is. I helped design their new library wing 10 years ago before I retired. Daniel looked impressed. The circular reading room with the skylights? That's beautiful work. I have my own room, Lily announced. It's purple and has stars on the ceiling that glow in the dark. You could come see it, she suggested. Right, Mommy? Emma and I exchanged a look, hope, uncertainty, and determination in her eyes. Of course, she said softly. Dad's welcome. Anytime. I'd like that very much, I managed. James suddenly pointed at me. Are you our grandpa? Yes, I said, swallowing hard. I'm your grandpa. Mommy said her daddy lives here, but we never saw you before. Your mommy and I, we had a disagreement. Sometimes grown-ups can be very silly and stubborn. Did you say sorry? James asked, with all the moral certainty of a 3-year-old. Not yet, I admitted. But I'm going to. Right now. I looked directly at Emma, then at Daniel. I am deeply sorry for the things I said. I was wrong, and I was too proud to admit it. During life's most meaningful moments, we realize what truly matters. If this family's journey of forgiveness resonates with you, subscribe now. Emma reached across the table and took my hand. I'm sorry too, Dad, for not reaching out sooner. Daniel cleared his throat. Frank, I know you had concerns about me. I hope you can see that I've worked hard to be the man she deserves. I nodded, genuinely moved. I can see that. And please, call me Frank. Or Dad, if you'd prefer. So, we're not mad anymore? Lily asked, looking between us with that perceptive gaze children sometimes have. No, sweetie, Emma assured her. We're not mad anymore. Good, Lily declared. Because I want to show Grandpa my tooth that's loose. She opened her mouth wide and wiggled a bottom front tooth. The absurd normality of the moment struck me suddenly, and I laughed, really laughed, for what felt like the first time in years. "You know," I said when I'd caught my breath. Your grandmother," I corrected, looking at the children. "She used to say that laughter was the sound of healing. Have you experienced a moment of healing with your family? Share your story in the comments." "I wish they could have met her," Emma said softly. "We can make sure they know her," I replied. "I have photo albums, home videos, her recipes. Would you?" I hesitated, suddenly nervous. "Would you all like to come back to my place? It's Father's Day, after all. We could grill something for dinner." Emma's eyes filled with tears, but her smile was radiant. "We'd love that." As we prepared to leave, Lily tugged on my sleeve. "Are you going to be our grandpa all the time now?" she asked. I knelt down to meet her eyes. "Yes, Lily, all the time from now on." She nodded, satisfied, then held out her small hand for me to take. As her tiny fingers wrapped around mine, I felt something inside me shift and settle into place, a broken piece finding its home again. Chapter 4. New Beginnings. The afternoon sunlight filtered through the oak trees in my backyard, casting shadows across the patio. The grill sizzled nearby as Daniel and I discussed grilling techniques. A conversation so normal, so ordinary, it seemed miraculous after years of silence. "The secret is to only flip once," I explained. "My father taught me that." Daniel nodded seriously. "I never had anyone to teach me these things. My dad wasn't around much." The admission surprised me. "Well," I said carefully, "sometimes we have to find our own way. Looks to me like you've done a fine job of it." He glanced toward Emma, who sat helping the children color in books I'd saved from her childhood. "I've tried," he said quietly. "Every day I try to be the father they deserve." I placed a hand on his shoulder, bridging more than just physical space between us. "That's all any of us can do." Inside, Emma had set the table with her mother's china that had sat unused for too many holidays. Lily and James sat on phone books to boost them up to table height. "This looks wonderful," I said, taking my seat. "Better than any Father's Day I could have imagined." "Should we say grace?" Emma asked tentatively. "Like we used to?" We joined hands around the table, forming an unbroken circle. "Dear Lord," I began, the familiar words coming back easily. "Thank you for this food and for the hands that prepared it. Thank you for family reunited, for new beginnings, and for the blessing of these children. Amen." "Amen," echoed around the table. As we ate, conversation flowed naturally. Emma shared details of their life before the move, Lily's dance recitals, James's dinosaur phase. I told them about my woodworking, class and volunteer work. Father's Day is about celebrating family bonds that can withstand any storm. If you've been moved by this story, please subscribe. "We should probably head home soon," Daniel said eventually. "The kids have school tomorrow." A pang of disappointment hit me. "Of course," I said, trying to keep my voice light. Emma must have seen something in my expression, because she took my hand. "Dad, we're only 10 minutes away now. We can come back tomorrow or the next day. This isn't goodbye like before." Relief washed over me. "I'd like to have you all over for dinner again." "Maybe Friday?" "That sounds perfect," she said. "And maybe next weekend you could come to our place?" I wouldn't miss it, I promised. As they gathered their things, Lily looked around sleepily. "Grandpa, are you going to be sad again when we leave?" The innocent question caught me off guard. I knelt down to her level. "No, sweetheart, because now I know you'll come back." She nodded, then wrapped her arms around my neck. "Happy Father's Day, Grandpa," she whispered. Over her shoulder, I met Emma's gaze. Tears shimmered in her eyes, matching my own. "The happiest," I agreed, standing on the porch, I watched them drive away, but unlike all the goodbyes before, this one carried no bitter taste of regret. It felt like the closing of one chapter and the beginning of another, a story still being written. Inside, Lily had left her drawing on the refrigerator, a family portrait with 5 figures holding hands under a bright sun. Beneath it, in careful letters, she had written, "My family." As I touched the drawing, I realized that Father's Day had once again become what it was always meant to be. Not a reminder of what I had lost, but a celebration of what I had been given. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to receive more content that celebrates the power of forgiveness and new beginnings. And remember, it's never too late to rebuild a bridge that seems broken beyond repair.